Hello everyone and welcome to the Transit Nomad family, Sofia's public transportation, final thoughts and conclusions. Before we get started, I'd like to let you know that as an active traveler and business owner with experience, I might be able to assist you with trip planning, life coaching, and business consulting, with all the details available at buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad or through the link in the video description below. This is where you can also find lots of exclusive content on many different cities around the world, my secret tips, PDF guides, and the option to request a custom video on any topic that matters to you. With that being said, let's begin discussing Sofia's public transportation. I've been staying here for almost 2 weeks, and this gives me enough experience to talk about my thoughts and conclusions after using its public transportation on a daily basis. And the first thing I'd like to mention is that it's very cheap and convenient to pay. The price is only $1 per ride for up to 60 minutes of usage, and all you need to do is just tap your credit card, not American Express, it doesn't work, but you can use Visa or MasterCard. Tap it when you board the vehicle, and that's it. That's all you need to do. Every time you board a tram, a bus, a trolley bus, or a metro system, you just tap your card and you're good to go. And the approximate price is $1 American per ride. If you need to transfer, you tap it again. As long as it's within that first 30 or 60 minutes, it's not gonna charge you more. If it's later, then it's gonna charge you another $1. And guess what? After you pay $2 and some change, it stops charging you, and then the rest of the rides for the rest of the day is free. So basically $2 and some change gives you unlimited usage of public transportation for the entire day anywhere in Sofia. In the city center, outside of the city center, it's single zone and distance doesn't matter. You just pay $2 and some change and you ride as much as you want. I think it's very affordable and it's very convenient. You just have to make sure you're using the same credit card to tap when you board every time. Use the same credit card, because that's how the system knows that you've done it multiple times, and then it stops charging you for the day. I think it's very cool, very affordable. There is no need to buy any kind of pass or figure out different ticket options or different zones, or figure out how to transfer. It's a universal ticket, universal way to pay for all the transit modes that are available in the city, whether it's a tram, a bus, a trolley bus, or a metro train. It's all the same. And I think it doesn't get any better or any easier than this. And having public transportation being affordable is a huge bonus, because it attracts a lot of riders. People choose that over driving, and this makes the congestion not as bad. People don't waste space with parking their cars, and transit frequencies are higher. You don't have to wait. You can see there's a tram after tram and another tram and another tram, and buses and trolley buses. You don't have to wait for too long, and this makes the city better and more comfortable for everyone. And I did mention a little bit about frequencies already, but that is another good thing I really wanted to point out. You don't have to wait for trams or buses. The frequencies on most routes are 10 minutes or less, and oftentimes you can take multiple routes for your destination. So in reality, you don't have to wait at all. And also the hours are very convenient too. Many routes are operating very late at night or very early in the morning, or actually 24 hours per day. So I think Sofia is really good in this department for hours and frequencies. And also I want to mention that the overall system coverage is very convenient as well. The routes are very long, so you don't have to transfer as much. You can get from one edge of the city to another edge of the city, oftentimes without transfers. Sometimes you do need to transfer, but because the frequencies are so high, you don't have to wait for too long. And generally speaking, if you look at their transit map, the coverage of the entire city is very well covered. It's very evenly spread out. It's not like there is a place where there's lots of transit and there is a place with no transit. I think they did think about all the locations, all the destinations, everything is covered. So you can basically go from anywhere to anywhere using public transportation with one transfer or zero transfers and high frequencies without having to wait. and almost any time of the day, which is very good. The next thing I'd like to mention is that the public transportation in Sofia is punctual and reliable. You don't have to worry about the tram not showing up, or the trolley bus not showing up, or the bus not showing up. Every time I needed to go somewhere, the bus showed up on time, and it showed up, and it was very comfortable with lots of seats available. I was always able to fit in and find a seat and enjoy my ride. Most of them are air conditioned, and the service is predictable and reliable. You can get to where you need to go on time, which is very important. I know in some cities they have issues with reliability, and you don't know if there's going to be delays or whether it's going to take an hour or 30 minutes or an hour and a half to get to where you're going to go. In Sofia, usually it's not a problem. Even an old tram like this is usually reliable. It's going to get you to where you need to go on time. The next thing I'd like to mention is the good distance between stops. A lot of cities in the West and in the United States in particular, they have stops located very close to one another. Like every couple of blocks there is a stop, and oftentimes only 0.2 miles apart, which means if you are in between two stops, the longest distance you'd have to walk is 0.1 mile, which is like 1 or 2 minutes, which I think is a little bit too short, and it makes buses and trams stop too much, too often, which makes it very slow. The average speed of bus becomes very slow because it has to stop every block or every 2 blocks. It is not the case in Sofia. I think most stops are located on average about 0.5 miles apart, maybe 0.4 miles apart, which means instead of walking for 1 or 2 minutes, you walk for maybe 3 or 4 minutes if you are exactly in the middle between 2 stops. You don't always have to be in the middle. You often are closer to one stop or another stop. But if you are in the middle, you might need to walk 3 or 4 minutes, which I think is totally fine. It's not far at all, but this significantly improves the average speed of buses and trams because they don't have to stop so much. And this is the part that I really appreciate about Sofia. I think many other cities should learn about how to create a good distance between stops based on Sofia specifically. The next thing I want to mention is not as positive. If you are a traveler or a visitor, there is a lack of English information. It's not as easy to figure out where you're going without English signs. The tram stops, they don't always have information in English. I have some other videos on my channel reviewing bus and tram stops in Sofia and showing you what information is available. They do have some translation to some extent at some stops, and also if you are inside the vehicle, you can change the language to English on the scanner that scans your debit card. You can change the language to English, and it's going to show you specific stops where it's heading next in English. But for the most part, the system is not very friendly towards people who don't speak Bulgarian, and I think they could definitely use a lot of improvements in this department. But a lot of cities are having this problem. It's not unique to Sofia. It's also a big issue in Eastern Europe, in Western Europe too. I was just traveling in Belgium and everything was in French and Dutch and not in English either. So just because it's Eastern Europe, it does not mean it's going to be any worse than Western Europe, or just because it's Western Europe, it does not mean that it's going to be any better than Eastern Europe. These issues are common in both parts of the world, and it's also pretty common in other cities throughout the planet. So I think that it's important because if the city wants to attract visitors and improve the economy and get more money flowing and get more people using public transportation, we want to make it accessible and easy to understand for everyone how to use and how to navigate the city in English. I think English is an international language, so this could be a big improvement. Another thing we are looking at right now is the intersection. And if you pay close attention, you will see that there is no transit signal priority. So trams and buses, they often have to wait at intersections. They have to wait for the red lights together with the cars. And I think it's kind of, it's not as efficient as it could be if there was transit signal priority. You can see that there are some parts where trams share the road with the cars. There are also some parts where trams are completely separated. But because they have to stop at the red light and wait together with all the cars, I think it makes them slower and less efficient than they could be. So this is definitely something they could improve if they wanted to, is adding special priority for transit vehicles, whether it's a bus or a tram or a trolleybus, so that they go faster, they have the priority over cars. I think this could be a big improvement. And the last thing I want to mention that I did not like about Sofia's public transportation is the lack of service on Sundays. I feel that the frequencies are great on weekdays, but when it comes to Sundays, you kind of have to wait longer. It's often double. On some routes it might be even triple, and on some routes it's the same. But I do feel that overall on Sundays it's harder to go to where you need to go. Then the system can be more in line with American systems on weekdays. Basically, what you would expect in America on weekdays is what you get in Sofia on a Sunday, which is mediocre hours, mediocre frequencies. It's so-so, it's not that attractive. You might think maybe it's better to drive, or it's better to avoid going there on a Sunday because you have to wait for a while for the bus, and then if you need to transfer to another bus, you have to wait for a while again. This basically takes up too much time, and it's better to just go on a weekday. I'm not sure if it's because of the local culture or because of something else, but I do feel that the service on Sundays could be better. But overall, considering all the positives I mentioned earlier in this video, I feel that Sofia's public transportation is very good, and it's one of the best systems I've seen in Europe. I've traveled to a lot of different countries in Europe, and it's very good quality service compared to a lot of other cities. I feel that it's very reliable, and it's frequent, and it's comfortable, and the variety of transit vehicles is great. I also wanted to point out that if you are a vintage transit lover, this is one of the very few cities in Europe where you can catch older trams, like the ones we saw earlier in the video, and some others from Switzerland, from Germany. A really good variety of old school buses and trolleybuses and trains too. So if that is something you might be into, check out my channel for more information. I have lots of videos catching those vehicles, as well as information on how to catch them in 2025. I'm not sure how long they're going to remain in service. It's something that might change anytime. They might retire these vehicles or phase them out. So if you want to explore vintage transit vehicles, Sofia might be should be on the top of your list of places to visit in the near future. Overall, my score for public transportation in Sofia is going to be maybe at least 8 out of 10. It's very good. I'm very satisfied. A lot of cities can learn from Sofia, and I highly recommend you checking it out for yourself if you have a time to visit Sofia. I think it's a great place to visit. I have videos about that on my channel too. And at the end of my trip, it's actually almost the end, and today I'll be recording also my final verdict video, comparing Sofia with other cities to actually help you decide if you should visit, while also saving you lots of time and money with practical tips on how to get the most out of your trip. This will be an exclusive video, but you can easily gain access to it by subscribing or donating any amount on buymeacoffee.com/transitnomad, or using the link in the video description below. With that being said, thank you everyone for watching, commenting, liking, and subscribing. I really appreciate you being a part of the Transit Nomad family, and look forward to seeing you in the next one. Bye bye.